it, fellas. Look here.
Stand by.
One for C-Lab, two for Chihiro, three for Wolverine to round out the trio. In this episode, everybody dies.
Broadcasting live from inside the power band, this is the Blah. In this episode, everybody dies. I'm not your host. The Wolverine is away, doing fun things with fun people. This is Jarhigo speaking, and I am with my ever-present special guest, C-Lab Forever.
What's up?
Today, we are going to talk about the 2004 classic Howls Moving Castle by Hayao Miyazaki. Let's get it started.
I can't believe this movie was in 2004. I would have guessed it was late 90s, but that must be Mononoke, etc.
That's totally what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so you're not alone.
You are not alone. Don't ask me where that came from, but there it is.
There you go.
Yeah, man, I love this fucking movie. I love Miyazaki movies. I meant to actually listen to our Nausica episode just to make sure I don't say the same shit over and over again. I didn't listen to that, so I'm going to say the same shit over and over again, and I'm totally okay with it.
You know, man, after watching a couple videos, video essays about this movie, everybody just says the same shit about Miyazaki anyway.
There you go.
Just keep regurgitating it and baby birding it, and
we'll just tack onto that then, shall we?
Yeah, it's okay to be a repeating piece of shit if you're talking about Hayao Miyazaki.
When you're talking about one of the most unique minds in creative animation and creative filmmaking.
Absolutely.
There's something subtly funny about that, about everyone saying the same boring shit about the guy that actually is making some new shit. I kind of like it.
Well, people do have different things to say, but there are these sort of like basic, tentpole things that, seem to come up. So
no doubt. In terms of high level, I don't know, this watching for me, I watched almost all of the Miyazaki films recently with my little dude. He's almost 5 and he was very enthralled. I think we might have even started with Howl. He hasn't seen Mononoke because it's a bit dark. Well, for a 5-year-old, it is dark. And
yeah, perhaps.
Yeah, and so he was really into it. I mean, I think it's a very captivating style. And then this watch for me, there's a YouTuber that has the handle "Every Frame is a Painting," and I feel like that is exactly how I would describe Miyazaki. It's like literally you could pause it at any point in time, and it's just like absolute perfection. It's like perfect framing, perfect animation, beautiful scenery, beautiful everything. Like it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous film. So from an aesthetic point of view, it's gorgeous. From a kid's point of view, it's captivating, and it's like a really good example of how Miyazaki approaches stuff. I hadn't actually realized it was adapted from a book. I thought it was his creation, which was interesting, but even still, he made it his own. So.
Yeah, as far as I understand it, it's kind of got an out, like the skeleton, the bones of the book, but he really kind of went his own way with it.
Yeah, which strikes me as kind of how he goes about things, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I haven't actually read the source material, so.
I read the synopsis of the book, and it kind of seems like, maybe like the first third or so is about the same, and then he just kind of wanders off. He ejects from the book and does his own thing. So he's kind of the Kev of the Japanese animation world.
Ah, yes. Excellent.
Which I can guarantee you no one else has said before. So maybe my thing is I'm going to try and say new shit about Miyazaki today.
Dude, wouldn't it suck if I was like a huge fan of the book and I was like just not stopping about like, well, in the book, this happened and blah, 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 blah.
So what you're unintentionally saying here is what if you played my role in the podcast? Because that tends to be my smarmy ass.
Yeah. Oh, I've gone there myself for sure.
Sure. I kind of don't want to read the book now. Like I feel like there's no reason to detract from my enjoyment of the film. And like I'm not really going to get much from the book, I don't think. Maybe I'm just being protective of my love for the Miyazaki film.
Yeah, I think that might be worthwhile, especially knowing that it's, a departure. So
yeah.
You know, it would be weird to like favor the movie as the source material, even though he didn't write it. But I can imagine reading the book and getting annoyed with like, that's not what happened.
Yeah, exactly. That's not the bit I love. I found that the same with me. Like, I know, well, it was probably more when I was younger. There were a few cover songs that I heard first before the original versions of the songs. And for me, they are the canonical versions of the songs.
Yeah.
So, like, I know it's kind of silly, but I think that's not uncommon, you know? So maybe that's kind of the same here.
No, I mean, I think it's very natural to feel that way, like to go with what your first exposure is. It's not always natural to be like, no, fuck the source material. This is it. You know what I mean? To at least not like acknowledge it.
But at least like the most well-known version is All Along the Watchtower by Hendrix. I think that he covered Dylan, and Dylan even fucked his own source, which he's like, I don't even like my version anymore. It's like, okay, well, if you're saying your own original version isn't as good, then I guess we all can too, right?
I guess, yeah. Well, I mean, I think if, as far as music is concerned, it was pretty popular back in the day for, you know, not the original artist to end up being the popular version of the song.
That's true.
More so than now, I would guess. But, you know, different times.
Different times, dude. Different times. Now I just listen to hyperpop.
Dude.
Now I just listen to boy bands and hyperpop music and K-pop. I love how everyone's obsessed with K-pop, and I don't think I've ever heard any K-pop other than the recent K-pop concert where a giant screen fell on a dancer. That's the only K-pop I've heard.
No, I mean, I had a hot minute with J-pop.
Oh yeah,
years ago, but that's it.
That's true, actually, and that kind of rhymes with talking about Miyazaki, where like the Ghost in the Shell, like almost all of these movies used to end with some sort of weird poppy Japanese kind of ballad or Japanese pop song. All the animes, not Miyazaki stuff, but Miyazaki stuff almost always ends with some sort of ballad.
Yes.
I kind of like
there's definitely a Japanese ballad in the movie towards the end, for sure.
Because I remember,
and at the end too, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, the music throughout is pretty great, but the end, the last 5 minutes I think is kind of maybe the weakest. Where they're like, and then we all learned our lessons and fell in love and now fly in the sky. The end. You know, it's just like, oh. But whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like, you got to tie it up sometime.
Sure. And, you know, it's kind of refreshing to have it, you know, just be that for once. You know, not have it be like, you know, oh, we can't be together because of a curse. Or if we do, there'll be, you know, like that kind of shit that seems to happen a lot in movies.
No doubt.
But it's almost kind of refreshing for it to just end in a very comforting, simple way.
Just to go the fairy tale route. No doubt.
Yeah.
But with the music stuff, I remember my little cousin, she was, I don't know, 2 or 3 years younger than me. And as younger kids do, they tend to like look up to their older cousins or siblings. And she was like, dude, you need to make me a mix CD. Mix CD. I like the music that you listen to. I was like, all right, I'll make you a mix CD. So I was like putting songs on it, whatever. And at that time, for whatever reason, I was really into the Ghost in the Shell soundtrack, which is a really fucking weird soundtrack. It's just like Japanese women like wailing while like a drum is hit every 5 minutes, you know? Like it's actually really good soundtrack.
Totally.
In the midst of 15 wailing drum songs, there's one like just horrifying Japanese pop song. And I slipped that into the middle of her mix CD because, you know, back in the days of the mix CD, once it's mixed, dude, it's never, you know, you're always going to have to skip that song no matter what. And she had no idea what it was, but I just put the worst Japanese pop song in her CD. I'm still quite proud of it to this day.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's the best use for those songs.
You know, it never occurred to me back in the days of making like a mixtape or a mix CD to purposefully put a shitty song in the middle of it.
Yeah. Well, that's because you care. That's because you put too much care into the mix CD, which makes perfect sense, you know.
I wish I had, though, you know, especially on a tape, because then you have to actually fast forward through the fucker.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know where it's going to end.
And, like,
you're always going to catch it.
Then you like miss half of the next song, but you're like, fuck it, I'm not going to go back again, you know.
Exactly, dude. Yeah. No, it's a good, you know, soft, practical joke that just keeps on giving, you know.
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll start making mixtapes again.
There you go. Cassettes
are apparently coming back, so
they probably are.
I'll just start making mixtapes.
I wouldn't be surprised.
No, they definitely are. They definitely are. Like even like pop artists are like releasing shit on cassette again.
Christ.
Yeah. No,
okay.
For real.
I totally understand why
it's a
every
real
old
thing.
person when I was a kid is like, you guys are fucking stupid. And now I feel the same way. I'm like, God damn it, you guys are dumb. But whatever. It's so funny. I'm such an old curmudgeon now, and I love it.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of understood like vaporwave artists and stuff like releasing their shit on cassette because you kinda want that,
some of
like,
it makes sense.
you kind of want that lo-fi, thing, and you want it to like degrade and sound shittier over time on purpose, that kind of a thing. But
sure. And I'm even down with the people that are vinyl enthusiasts in terms of like artists that are vinyl enthusiasts and want to like put their shit out on vinyl too. Okay, cool, no worries.
oh, definitely that. I mean, vinyl is vinyl, man. It's still the best sounding shit out there.
Yeah,
I would have like thousands, and I would have tons of vinyl.
Yeah, if
I had a spot to live permanently and never have to move it again.
Yeah, if you had a Scrooge McDuck swimming pool full of money and a bunch of space.
Yeah, and not even that. I would just buy the shit if I could, but
yeah, like one at a time.
I don't want to move once every 3 years and have to cart it around.
Yeah,
it's just
that's fair enough. Cool. That's kind of like me and books. I've got like a bunch of books in storage in America, and would love to have them, but like it costs me like $5,000 to ship them out. So it's like, yeah, fuck that.
Mm-hmm. Not worth it.
Not worth it. So that was my high level and 11sies and lunch. Would you like to highlight
and lunch and second breakfast?
Yeah,
and third breakfast.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, I'll be refreshingly short-winded, I think. Here, I would echo most of what you've said there about the movie. This was only my second ever watching of this particular film.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm super curious then.
So, yeah, it's. I mean, it's a super. It strikes me as a like really comfort food sort of movie, but at the same time, it's also kind of really fucking dark. There's like crazy like nationalistic fucking sort of fascistic countries like going to war with these giant, sort of echoing the like aircraft from Nausica, like those giant like sort of World War II. Great like fantasy World War II aircraft and all that. Like there's like all this shit going on while this little story is happening.
Yeah.
I don't know. I enjoyed the hell out of it, man. The soundtrack is great. The movie is just, it's got a, what's the word I'm looking for?
Je ne sais quoi.
No, that wasn't what it was, but I'm going to go with that because my brain is not functioning right.
Fair enough. Yeah, you mentioned the ships and stuff, and I hadn't forgotten about it, but like things go a bit hazy when you haven't watched something in a while, and so just like you're like, oh yeah, the steampunky kind of stuff, and like, oh yeah, the like steam cars and the little flying things that you sit on a fucking garden chair on, and like the giant ships that have like bird cloaca buttholes that like spurt out weird flying things. And, like,
spurt out weird flying things, exactly. Yeah, there's some really bizarre aircraft and landcraft and such. I mean, even the castle like is
yeah, dude,
like pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah, so I don't know, like I guess like the vehicle stuff, maybe not specifically, but the vehicle stuff always seems to be a strength of his, and I don't know, it's such a weird aesthetic that he brings, and I think here it's such in a delightful way, like. Just I don't know, the way that all the vehicles are put together. I just love them so much, and then I guess that like blends into setting, and the setting is quite solid too.
Absolutely, yeah. It's sort of like, I in one of the videos I was watching, they were talking about how he was one of the first movies that he made. He went to, I believe, Sweden.
Okay,
and like a lot of the like towns and cities in this were sort of based on that kind of like architecture and. That kind of a vibe,
Yeah.
That's definitely cool. And going back to the planes, though, I was like, this is where they got the idea for all the He-Man vehicles, I think. Like,
yeah,
even
no
though
doubt.
it was made in 2004 or whatever, but like, there's some similar DNA there.
There's definitely some weird shit going on. But I love how, like, I think we talked about it before in one or two of the episodes, the Toys That Made Us episode on He-Man, where the guys were just like, yeah, we just need to, like, make some fucking toys, so we just, like, drew some weird shit. It's like, okay, man. And I feel like Miyazaki is kind of the same. He's got like a cigarette butt hanging out of his face. He's like, I'm just gonna draw something today. This weird,
totally
fucking centipede flying ship that poops out fucking shadow dudes with top hats. You're like, all right, dude. Like, Okay.
Right. Yeah. And then there's like the other one that has like the weird, like instead of having propellers or anything, it just has like these little like flaps that like interchange in the wings, like this like circulating like series of flaps that open and shut that one would presume is like how the propulsion is made for the craft. Like, it's really super inventive, wacky stuff.
And I love how nonsensical it is too. He's just like, I don't give a shit if it's not, plausible from a physics point of view. He's like, I just want it to look interesting. Like, yeah, fair enough.
Exactly. Yeah, it's something like the size of a fucking skyscraper that's,
It's got two little fly wings on the side of it or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he doesn't give a shit. I love it. That's interesting about the Sweden thing. Like his worlds feel so lived in, and I was trying to kind of pinpoint why they feel like they're not like, I want to say they're like comfortable spaces. Like you're like, you could totally see yourself living there. Whereas like you can't see yourself living in, Cars by Pixar or like fucking, I don't know, Aladdin. Like it's just like entertainment as opposed to like a world. Like that was one of the things, this is an early Star Wars death, but that's one of the things about Star Wars that I love so much is that it was like, you could imagine yourself in the universe. And I feel like Miyazaki's able to carry that off with animation, which I don't know if I felt that with other animations as much. Maybe Akira and maybe like a Ghost in the Shell, but it's just such a lived-in world that I have such admiration for that I just can't quite pinpoint how he pulls it off.
Yeah, they're at once like very dreamlike and ethereal and sort of whimsical. But there's like like for instance, so he based it on these towns in Sweden or whatever. Like there's a basis of reality that cuts. Like you see it, you know it.
Yeah,
it makes sense. It's not just fantastical. There's like a basis in reality there that I think is a that sells that lived in feeling.
Yeah.
Or that feeling of being able to live there.
It's not like a bunch of bubble houses or some shit.
It's stuff you've seen.
Yeah.
But it's just all mixed up and mashed up in a way that makes it, fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff you've seen mixed up with stuff that you haven't seen. The only kind of justification or reason I could come up with is like the reason that it feels lived in is because you watch people living in it. Where they're like, that's
also true.
Often scenes of, someone like sweeping the front porch or like making dinner or, like the opening scene, what's her name is Sophie's like making a hat. And she's just like sitting there quietly making a hat for like 2 minutes while like her sisters make noise. Like you don't normally come across that kind of pacing. And maybe that's part of it.
That's absolutely true. Yeah, there are always, in almost anything I can think of, really, there are people just going about their business.
And it's like thinking about the background characters and what their business is, like, I guess, I don't know, maybe one of the things that struck me is like, Sophie's at the castle and she's got the little kid with her, the little dude, Michael or whatever his name is. And, she's like getting potatoes. He's like, I hate potatoes. He's like, get the fucking potatoes. Give him the money. And then he's like she's at the fishmonger, and she's like gonna buy a fish, and then the warship comes in. He's like, yeah, we're closed. See ya, and everyone like crowds out to the shore, and it was just like, I don't know, maybe it's the Nantucketer in me, but like I could totally see that.
Right.
Normal life being interrupted or whatever. It was kind of interesting.
Absolutely.
And maybe it was
kind of a
sorry, go ahead.
That's kind of a thread in the movie at large, really. Like as you put it, Sophie is like making a hat at the beginning, and then her life is completely disrupted.
That's true.
And then sort of her showing up in the castle disrupts everybody else's life, and you know.
And then like you said, the war in the background is like an undertone of disruption.
Absolutely.
And then similarly, like absolutely, we're talking about the undertone of like the lived-in feeling, and it's the same thing here, where you've got like the war as the background, and then the story as the living in the broader world. Yeah, it's interesting. I really like another one is the it's like I think it's about halfway through and everything's kind of going to shit, and then like they just like hang out laundry, like they just turn the doorknob and go to this crazy like pond, and they're just like turnip heads the fucking laundry line, and they're just like doop a doop, It's like, okay, cool. And then I'm totally on board. Like they have a cup of tea at like a little a little table. I'm just like, this is fucking delightful.
Yeah, I love the door that just goes to all these different spots.
So creative.
That was super cool.
Oh, it's so cool. And then even Sophie's first time seeing it, and she's like, whoa. And then she gets down there and she just keeps flipping the thing, and he's like, stop fucking with the door, you know? And she's like, no way, man. That's totally what I would do too. I'm like, nah, I'm playing with this fucking door, dude.
No, I was getting like sort of like a Farcaster portal vibe going on there.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, no doubt, dude. That idea of the Farcaster house is, while terrifying, is also the coolest fucking thing ever.
Right. With his little toilet out on the raft.
Yeah, this toilet on the raft. I mean, we'd all do it. From the Hyperion cantos, for anyone who didn't listen to our 62-hour episode on it.
Yeah, it's we just keep throwing out references.
Keep throwing that reference out to that one guy who read the books. Kev,
so we'll continually
who listens to our old episodes.
The only person who has listened to the Hyperion episodes is Kev.
Is Kev going back over his old shit. I love it.
Well, I'm going to keep beating a dead horse with it because it just keeps coming up. So
yeah, I like the idea of that being a thing now, where we like tell inside jokes to future Kev. Because they'll totally like get on the horn with us and be like, I was listening to episode 4 the other day and you guys were like, oh, this funny thing, you just fucking great. You're like, yeah, all right, man, I was there, you know. But now we're actually getting meta and dropping nuggets for him to hear, like on Twofer shows and stuff. I love that.
Dude, that's hilarious. That's not actually that is great. That's not what I was referring to. I was referring to bringing up Hyperion.
Oh, I gotcha.
That's okay. That's even better.
Yeah, from now on, anytime there's a twofer, I'm dropping Kev Nuggets in just for him. Our most avid listener. He's our most avid listener when it's a recording, but when we're doing the recording, he's not listening at all. He's like on YouTube. I love it.
Oh my god. He's like watching The Simpsons and Salt Bae and fucking Stalekracker all at the same time. Like,
he's got a 17 CRTV wall with all different memes and Stalekracker videos on it.
Totally. He's like Jones. He's like Jones in the aquarium with all the TVs. Totally.
I always thought Kev was a cybernetic dolphin. All right. We're getting perilously close to shit talking Kev here, and I'm on board, but
no. It's not shit talking. It's all
love.
true.
It's love talking.
Oh man. All right. Where do we go from here?
I think like, aside from the like, this is nice to watch, I enjoy this kind of vibe of his stuff, I think Sophie is the most interesting part of this, man. Like, her relationship with each of the characters is just so interesting. I don't know. I like how, it opens on her being kind of unsure of herself, and the loner is implied by all of her friends giggling in the other room while she's making a hat, and then, she gets literally swept off her feet by Howl and then turned into an old crone. Like, it just like bing, bang, boom happens pretty quick. And I like that. Maybe just there. And then, some of her relationships to the other characters is cool too. Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. I gotta stop saying that. I don't know. She gets turned into the crone, and then you're just like, all right, this is interesting. And, she's like, I'm really sick. And her mom's just like, stay the fuck away from me. And then she just wanders off and finds Turnip Head, and I just like that she just randomly is like, well, I'll just go out and walk into the fucking wilderness. That'll sort the day out. Right. Well, she's trying to find, like, someone to fix it for her, essentially, isn't she? Yeah, I suppose. But it's such a, like, hero's journey-ish style of, like, I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to do something, which I like. Yeah. Because, like, she can't talk about her curse, and so the chances of someone knowing she's got a curse would be... Yeah, I just love how, like, none of that's explained, and it doesn't need to be, and it kind of makes it delightful in a way. No, there's a little bit of, like, sort of exposition, because she goes through that town, and she's like... they're like, oh, I wouldn't, go up there. There's wizards and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And, she's like, yeah, whatever. Granny. It's totally is what I'm looking for. Yeah, exactly. And she just sort of wanders off and then finds, oh, that's a nice walking stick. And then finds Turnip Head, who's just, is such a delightful Miyazaki character. Yes. Very No-Face-esque. Yeah, totally. Turnip Head. I used to hate turnips as a little girl. I'll call you Turnip Head. Can you find me a place to stay, Turnip Head? Ha ha ha, I'm so cunning. It's like, okay. Just wander off into the night and fucking live in the mountains.
Yeah, and she almost gets stepped on by the moving castle.
Exactly.
Essentially.
Yeah, man, when you're saying before about the vehicles, like the castle is just such a unique thing. I don't know. I find it delightful. I guess in reading a little bit that you probably caught this too, but I guess the moving castle was what was so captivating to Miyazaki when he read the book. He was just like, the idea of the moving castle and how do I get that to work? He's like, how would I have a castle move? Was what drew him to the work, which I think makes sense. And then he's just like, chicken legs, naturally.
Yeah,
you know?
Chicken feet. Yeah, I mean, naturally.
It's so perfect, though.
That's how you get the castle to go. Yeah, I know.
There's just
crazy.
something about it that's just so cool.
It's fucking bananas. It's how the whole thing sort of, shifts and wobbles and like,
yeah,
it's almost like none of it's really cohesive. It's just like this pile. It's like a pile of plates on top of a, set of chicken feet that are sort of wandering through the mountains. Like, and somehow they just don't topple over. They just keep shifting all over the place,
That's it.
Just, yeah.
Through sheer force of will.
With a set of smokestacks on the back.
I saw this amazing video we should link up that I definitely recommend watching on double speed because it's like 45 minutes long. But it's this dude who makes the entire castle out of just fucking shit out of his recycling bin, just like complete junk.
Oh, I saw that. I didn't watch it, but
the thumbnail of it. It's worth checking out, even if you just jump around, because it's just like it's quite impressive. So that I definitely recommend checking that out.
The final product definitely looked quite impressive.
Yeah, it was fucking cool, man. Because he just like obviously took the time to screenshot every kind of scene in the movie to kind of get a vibe for it or whatever. But yeah, he was just like, oh, this milk cap looks like it'd work, and he just like hits it with his X-Acto blade 3 times, and it turns into this like perfect porthole. Like it's really cool. It's really worth checking out. And I kind of
That's
like
awesome.
the meta nature of the fact that the junky castle is made out of junk by this random dude. I think if it were me, I would have ended up with such a boring example of like how to make a castle move. Like the chicken leggy thing is just so Miyazaki.
I mean, yeah, literally, tank tracks or wheels or anything but chicken feet.
But it like fits. It's like I feel, and I know you're probably going to disagree with me here because of your feelings on Apple, but like there's like the iPhone kind of stuff where I remember people just being like, the Apple people are like, fucking, you guys copied the shit out of the original iPhone. And everyone's like, yeah, but it's so obvious. And they were just like, well, it's obvious now that we fucking did all the work and like made it come together. And even if you disagree with the specific example, I think it makes sense where sometimes things seem so obvious once it's been done. But before it's been done, it's just not at all obvious. And I feel like the chicken feet are a good example of that.
Yeah, I'm not sure it makes sense, but it's neat.
Yeah, it makes no fucking sense, but that's like I think
it's funny.
Why I like it.
It's cute. Yeah, it's definitely for a cartoon. It's great
because like the practicality of sitting in a house that has 2 lumbering chicken feet be pretty wobbly house.
Yeah, it's all held together by Billy Crystal,
as you do, who I appreciated here. I mean, that kind of worked for me.
I had I guessed it, but I didn't believe it, and then I looked it up, and I was like, "Oh, Calcifer is Billy Crystal.
It is Billy Crystal.
It is him."
In between hosting,
and then
the
I was
Oscars,
like,
"He did this,
right?" Well, I realized he did like one of the voices in Monsters Incorporated, and
Mike
Wazowski. So he's done voice work for Disney before, so it's a pretty natural fit, I guess. But for some reason, I was like, "There's no way." It's somebody that's just doing a voice like Billy Crystal.
No, he did, yeah. I mean,
but it was him.
I suppose it's the same thing, too, what we said earlier, where, like, I thought it was the late 90s. Like, I could see Billy Crystal doing it in the late 90s, maybe. Like a Robin Williams, Genie, Aladdin kind of thing. But, like, in 2004, I would have thought that the people that did this were too big for it. Like Christian Bale, too, like.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Because in the old ones, like Castle in the Sky and Nausica and some of the other ones has some big names. Like Uma Thurman's in Nausica, but it was one of her earlier roles, so like that makes sense to me. But then I guess,
Right.
Bale saw Spirited Away and was just like, I'll do anything in any of your movies. And so like I could see an artist's appreciation for Miyazaki too, like coming into wanting to work with him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like Nausicaa was revoiced after the fact, sort of.
Oh,
because
yeah,
I know
you're
there was
probably
the we talked about it when we did the thing, but there was an initial release where, it was a typical sort of anime thing where like
they hired a guy and a girl to do all of the voices, just one person.
Well, it wasn't quite that bad, I don't think, but like they had a production company from the US basically just like bought it and then like rewrote the whole thing, made their own dialogue.
Oh yeah,
and,
that's
like,
right.
Sort of,
cut it to shit.
change the story around, etc. So like it wasn't until later that they actually did a proper redub of the original Miyazaki vision, where you have
I forgot about that.
all those voice actors in there. Yeah, but I think at this point they were just casting the people to do the roles.
Yeah, well, I mean,
apparently like Batman Begins trounced this at the box office.
Oh, really?
And Christian Bale was in both things.
Well, I that's funny that you should say that too, because there's like a little nug which you probably saw where Howl's growling voice here sounds very similar to Batman. And I guess Bale was working on his Batman at this time, and so like it kind of spilled over a bit, which I kind of love too.
Yeah.
Even though we don't do official Batman deaths for you anymore, I kind of like the idea of Batman slipping into Howl's moving castle for you.
I'll take it. I'll take a Batman death for that. It is Bale Batman after all.
Yeah, fucking Bale Batman. I love it. But Howl's such a fucking prima donna. Maybe like back to Sophie a little bit. Like her relationship to Howl and how much of a prima donna he is. I find. Like, she's obviously smitten, but also, he, like, his hair, what was it? Like, his hair dye, and he just, like, sulks until he turns into a slime puddle, It's like, come on, you bitch.
Yeah.
Like, it was a perfect visual representation of, like, that type of preening tantrum, and it was just fucking great.
Yeah, she almost nopes out at that point, too.
Yeah. She's like, you're a bunch of fucking idiots. I'm out of here. It was great, dude. And then rolls up her sleeves and drags his slimy ass into the bathtub, like she gets shit done, dude. I love how, I don't know, she just gets shit done. Doesn't fucking complain too much and is surrounded by juveniles and saves the day.
Yeah, it's, I mean, I feel like I'm going to like relate this to Spirited Away because I'm super familiar with that movie and I've seen it like a million times. It's like one of my comfort food. Like,
totally.
If I can't fall asleep, like I'll put that on.
Yeah.
Because it just calms me down and,
Yep.
It's just comforting. But there's some similarities here between Sophie and Chihiro, I think, where, Sophie's never really like a whiny little girl or anything at any point, but she is sort of a wallflower of sorts, I guess, and sort of like finds her niche here and finds a purpose and finds a place for her in this sort of ragtag family. And a similar sort of thing happens to Chihiro once she digs in, and decides that she's just gonna, the only way out is through, sort of.
Yeah, totally.
So I think there's a similar kind of, I think that's kind of like a Miyazaki thing, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Yeah, I mean, for sure, there's like often a young kid or juvenile, like, a tween that needs that maturing moment. And I guess like, the boy here, I love.
Catalyst.
Yeah, exactly. And I like how the boy in this one fits that bill. Like, he is the Chihiro youth, but not the Chihiro kind of, I don't know, like hero figure. It's kind of split. And he's the naive kid who, eats bread and cheese and is excited to have his first breakfast in a long time and sells the spells to the little fishmonger or the like little girl. And then eventually I just think the thing that just delights me the most about the dynamic between Sophie and him is just how much he loves her in the end, like she's very much a motherly figure to him, even though, she's a young woman instead of an old woman. And there's just something quite delightful about that relationship.
She kind of allows him to be a kid again because she sort of comes in and takes over the life. some of the heavy lifting. It's like when she shows up, he's like kind of running the show in Howl's stead while
That's
he's
a great
like
point.
away doing other shit, like pulling out his little hood with the fucking beard that drops down. I absolutely love that.
So great.
It's such an awesome thing.
His voice,
he's answering the door. Yeah, it's the little kid doing the old guy voice.
Yeah, it's
like,
so great.
So he's like kind of running everything, really, while Howl's away until Sophie shows up and sort of, she doesn't take the reins per se, but she definitely takes a lot of the pressure off of him, it seems. Kind of allows him to be a little bit more of a kid.
Yeah, totally. I hadn't considered that because it's very much the Depression era. Your whole family has to work, including the 6-year-old making. Like my grandma used to have to make dinner for her entire family every night at the age of 6 because everyone was working. And you're not a kid. You don't get to be a kid. That's a great point.
Yeah,
that totally
fits. I would say that generation, everybody in the family was working at a textile mill.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like literally everybody was the kids, everybody was working in a textile mill.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. That's a great point that even makes me like it even more. It's such a delightful relationship between the two of them. He's just such a perfect kid. You're like, oh, don't talk to Calcifer. He doesn't listen to us. And then she gets him to make bacon. He's like, wow. I haven't had a meal in so long.
Yeah, dude, that eggs and I ended up watching, you know who Binging with Babish is?
Oh, definitely. I watch him all the time, yeah.
Okay, well, he did the breakfast from this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with homemade. He
thick
made his own bacon and then dialed it up with the eggs all in the cast iron pan.
Nice.
I ended up watching that just because I saw that. I'd seen it before, but I forgot about it. And then when that scene in the movie came on, watching it last night, I was like, oh fuck, I gotta watch that video.
That's awesome. It definitely rings a bell, and I'm delighted. I love that dude. He's great. It
also made me
hope he had
eggs and bacon.
A fire demon that ate the eggshells as well,
No, sadly he didn't, but
that's such a delightful moment. I don't know. I kind of was like, I want to make this shot of Calcifer eating the eggshells be the screenshot for the art for this week, because it's just such a ridiculous and amazing and funny thing.
It is ridiculous, amazing, and funny. That scene is just it's just delightful. And Hal comes in and takes over, and he starts I didn't realize he was feeding him eggshells at first. It was the second or third egg. I was like, oh, that's what.
Yeah.
And Calcifer's just
he's so good. It's fucking great, man. Yeah, that's definitely one of those lived-in moments. And then, her cleaning the place, too. She's like, I gotta clean this place. You guys are fucking filthy. And then the place turns into a delightful little house,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so Sophie's awesome, man. I guess the actor or actress or whatever that played the character in the Japanese version, which I've definitely seen. I know you're not a sub fan, but I've definitely done the Japanese audio with the subs. I've probably seen this a dozen times, and I'd say half of them I've done with the Japanese. And it's the same actor that does the young and old Sophie, whereas it's split here between two people, which I think makes sense.
Interesting. You know who does the Granny Sophie voice
in English?
The English version.
I do, but I'm not familiar with actors of that era. Can you tell me a little bit more about? It's Gene Simmons, isn't it?
Well, it's Gene Simmons.
Yeah, brother of Richard Simmons and
sister of Richard and Dan and Gene Simmons.
What has Gene Simmons been in though? Because I don't know what else she's done. Spartacus and stuff. It's all the shit I just don't know. Guys and Dolls.
Yeah, this is stuff just before our time, really.
Very well known, but just before my time. Kev would be rattling off a bunch of great stuff here. I just have no idea.
I only brought her up because
she's the sister of Gene.
Because she's Gene Simmons.
I love it.
But you know that Gene Simmons, the Kiss guy, actually named himself after her.
Oh, okay, cool. I did not know that, and I love that. And Lauren Bacall is the Witch of the Waste, which is pretty awesome. I know Lauren Bacall.
Yes.
Some legends of old cinema. I love it. Gene Simmons. I love some of our just the stupidity of some of our inside jokes that we just continue to build on, and it's it's from the Hyperion episodes that no one's listened to. It's so great. Fuck it. As long as we're having fun, that's all that matters.
Hey, yeah, I knew there was going to be a couple of those in this episode, so
hey, whatever.
Maybe we'll get a bump in people listening to the Hyperion episodes.
Yeah, there you go. Like, oh, I get a notification on my phone. Somebody downloaded it finally. Most niche random shit ever. Hey, it was worth a try. I'd like to do more book club stuff, even if people want to listen to it. Maybe just not a trilogy next time.
Yeah, right. Maybe something one-off. It is fun to do.
Yeah.
Stand by.
I'm sitting there editing Cobra, right? And I get to the Joe Fowler part, Kev's lifelong dream, you guys making fun of me, and what do? I start watching Joe Fowler videos again for like 45 minutes.
I want to take this opportunity to turn this into a mid-roll.
Joe Fowler videos again. Joe Fowler videos again. Joe Fowler. Joe Fowler. Joe Fowler.
Hi, Joe Fowler here. Joe Fowler. Joe Fowler. Joe Fowler. Joe Fowler here.
Folks, please share this podcast with a friend, because if we can monetize this enough, Kev can quit his day job and just watch Joe Fowler videos full time with his new career as a wannabe infomercial star.
And that'll be great because it'll curb him from doing it in the middle of the podcast while we're recording.
He can have his own spin-off podcast, which is just infomercials.
I am looking for my son.
Hi, Joe Fowler.
Aha!
Aha!
Joe Fowler.
You too can help people like Kevin by donating to our podcast now. You too could save podcasts.
Man, I was just looking at the cast for Howls, and the Karushifa voice. The dude has like 6 eyebrows stitched together across his forehead. It's the most impressive eyebrow I've ever seen. It's like a double inverse mustache on top of his eyes.
Tatsuya, I can't.
Gashuin? Yeah, that dude. That is seriously an impressive.
Wow. Holy moly. It's just a thing.
Dude, like, actually, like, I demand a steak and mustaches segment, because if you turn this guy's picture upside down, it's an epic mustache. It's pretty fucking sweet.
I've never seen anything quite like that.
Dude, his eyebrows look like Tim Burton's Batman symbol.
That's an eyebrow, sir.
I love that so much. Okay. Anyways,
that is a unibrow par excellence. I've never seen anything quite like that.
No, that's really. I'll make it a show art.
It's like somebody. You know, like when people do like an impressionistic bird, and it's just sort of like a V in the sky in the background. It's like somebody drew one of those on his face with hair.
Yep, exactly. He's got a seagull for an eyebrow. I love it.
Oh my god! And he's apparently leaning into it. There's a couple pictures of him, and I thought it might be like just makeup for a role or something, but
that's it. Oh wow, holy shit! That one with him being like a doctor or surgeon is pretty fucked.
Yes,
that's impressive, man. That's impressive. Kudos to you, Tatsuya Gashuin.
Yeah, that's a wow. Okay. I think I might have nightmares now.
Sorry, just put Spirited Away on. It'll calm me down. What else you got here, bro? You on the bits and bobs, or you got any other major themes?
I don't know.
We touched on music a little bit.
I mean, there's not much to say other than that's
just really good. Yeah.
I mean, what the hell's the guy's name? I had called it up, and then Joe Hisashi, I guess.
Does he do a lot of stuff for Miyazaki?
I believe he has, yes.
The music just perfectly pairs with the scenery, for sure.
I know he at least did the Spirited Away soundtrack, so.
Yeah.
Same guy. Great music.
I've never listened to any of the soundtracks outside of the films, in terms of, like, you know, doing the dishes or like at work or something. I might give it a try.
Yeah, I almost never do, but I think it would be worth a listen.
Yeah.
You're in the mood for some, whimsical piano music that gets pretty dark at times.
Always. I'm always in the mood for whimsical piano music that gets dark. That sums up my work life.
Is that what you do?
Yeah. I frolic around the office and then it gets serious every once in a while.
Is there anybody else?
Witch of the Waste.
Witch of the Waste.
The character
sort of
is interesting. The idea of the Witch of the Waste is interesting.
Yeah, sort of that like tertiary antagonist that ends up like being part of the crew.
Yeah,
it's sort of a thing with
that's it.
Miyazaki as well.
Spurned lover who turns her into a newt. Turn me into a newt. Turns her into an old crone.
Turns her into an old crone with a penis nose.
With a penis nose. She gets along with Dan Aykroyd from Nothing But Trouble. And then they have that, I love the old lady battle on the staircase. like a 5-minute Rocky Balboa fucking stair battle. And then she gets like all of her life sucked out of her because of some weird, spell. And she's this little blob for the rest of the movie. It's really funny, dude.
A little blob with a penis nose. Yeah.
That's it. It's just an interesting idea. I don't know. Miyazaki does the unexpected, exactly like you said, where she's the antagonist. She comes in and she stirs up shit, and Sophie's like, I'm going to fucking kill her at the breakfast table after she, recharges herself with some sweet bacon. And then they run into each other and have a stare battle, and then Sophie's now like besties with her or whatever. It's like, oh, you're actually pretty sweet, It's kind of, I don't know,
right.
It's heartwarming.
Struggling up the stairs, and she's like, you can tell,
sweating.
like feeling bad for her.
Yeah, exactly. Sweat her face.
Dude, what about Heen, the little fucking
the little
hairy
wheezy
dog
dog
with the chicken feet? Yeah, the chicken feet and the laryngitis bark.
Dude, I love him. He's such a, and there's
I kept waiting for him to like turn into something else.
Yeah, totally. And there's that one scene where he like fucking squirrel flies through the air really quick and does something, with his ears. His ears fly out and he does this like swooping thing. Yeah, it's super funny.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah, Heem's great. The King and Madame Suleiman kind of stuff as the main antagonist. I'm glad there wasn't a ton of stuff with them. I'm glad it was just like focused kind of on Sophie and the castle as opposed to just being some big broad war thing. I like that the war was in the background and that like the kidnapped, quote unquote, kidnapped prince that starts the war was in the background, but it turns out to be Turnip Head kind of stuff. Like that was kind of cool.
Turns out to be Turnip Head. Yeah. Yeah. I like that. It's it's sort of the tense backdrop for kind of a more simple story, And
even like Sophie's family, like her mom and her sister, they're all like in the background too. Like it kind of makes the characters lived in, but it's not like a huge focus or whatever.
Jesus, her sister's wearing that like, is it her sister that's wearing the hat at one point that has like flowers and cannons and shit on it, like for the parade?
It was either her sister or her mom. Yeah, who they looked very similar.
I don't remember which, but yeah.
It was really funny. It's the latest fashion in Kingsbury.
Yeah.
It's like fucking giant battleship hat.
So
which is kind of funny, dude, because like some of the hats, over here in Australia, there's like a, what the fuck do they even call it? There's a big race, a horse race, kind of like the Kentucky Derby.
Like the Kentucky Derby.
It's just like that, yeah. And the fact that I'm not remembering it means they're going to take my passport away. But everyone gets like absolute like shithouse drunk at these things. And so there's just like pictures of girls in like really nice like gowns with giant battleship hats, just like vomiting all over themselves or like falling over or like punching cops in the face, like in the newspaper the next day. Yeah. And I feel like a battleship hat would fit in perfectly there.
Wow. They do that in
Melbourne Cup. That's what it's called. Melbourne Cup.
The Melbourne Cup. Wow. I had no idea. That's crazy.
Yeah. Cause like, I feel like the Kentucky Derby's kind of got like old school vibes where you got to wear like a seersucker suit and shit and get drunk on whiskeys and stuff, but it's very American. Whereas over here, they're very like British about it,
It's very similar, though, in the, get dressed up all fancy and then vomit all over yourself because you're shithouse drunk. Yeah. Or punch a cop or, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever your flavor is.
It's absolutely the same in that respect, as far as I understand.
Yeah. But I don't know if, I think the thing I'm speaking of in particular is the headgear. Like, the women all wear headgear in England and here. And I think maybe it's hats in America, but here it's these weird fucking contraptions that are kind of like, battleship hats. It's just
it's like a head cake.
It's really weird shit where they took 5 coat hangers and made this weird shape and then draped a bunch of fucking fabric on it. And they're like, I'm fashionable. It's like, dude, you look like a fucking idiot. But it's pretty funny.
Yes, in any case, it's hilarious.
Yeah, totally. And you should put some fucking ship's cannons on it. It's totally relevant to the conversation.
Yeah, and just the backdrop of the war and so it's there's a parade going on when she's wearing that stupid hat and people are waving flags around and
being super into the war. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. It was just a stupid, what is that? What's her face says at the end? Where it's it wasn't really about anything anyways. So
yeah, let's just stop it. Which is perfect. It's so often the case, The nationalistic bullshit is just, I don't know. In case you hadn't noticed, it's kind of bullshit.
It's bullshit.
Not to go down that dark alleyway and get mugged.
No, absolutely not. I will not be mugged.
No,
I know bullshit when I see it.
That's it. I suppose, looking at the cast in IMDb, there actually aren't that many characters. When you really look at it, it feels like there's about double the amount, but there isn't.
It's pretty tight. It's sad that I can't remember all of them at once without looking at IMDb.
Yeah, but still, there's 8, call it 10, 12 characters max.
Yeah,
it's pretty wild. He tends to keep it pretty tight, though.
It's true. This is true. Oh my god, dude.
Oh my god.
Fuck. I have to look this up really quick.
Okay. I'll happily wait.
These
sound pretty pumped.
It is
they have an ejection and a likely Matrix death.
It is worthwhile. Okay, so god damn it. This is a long-winded stupid article. Okay. Here we go. So Danny Boyle is going to direct a hip-hop stage version of The Matrix.
That was so worth it.
A live musical.
Oh my fucking god, dude. A Hamilton-esque. I am so on that motorcycle. That sounds like it will be the worst thing humanity has ever put together.
Sorry, I know it's not about this movie, but it is worthy of
throw it
bringing
out there,
and it's also a death. So
yeah, I love that. No, that's good. That's too good. That's too good not to share.
Yeah,
I cannot picture a universe in the multiverse where a hip hop Matrix stage show is anything other than fucking laughable, and I'm on board.
Maybe that's the point.
If it is, lean into it, dude, and I am there.
Right?
They did it with the Mormon one with South Park. Didn't they do something?
Exactly.
Yeah, and they
exactly.
did well.
I hope that's the point, because if it's not, it's going to be tragic.
It's going to be fucking tragic. Yeah, totally. Dude, Hamilton's fucking great, man. I had heard good things and then saw it on Disney, and it's solid. I can't fucking handle Lin-Manuel Miranda anymore just because all of his shit sounds the same. And with my kids, I have to watch all of the Moanas and Vivos and all the shit that he's done.
Yeah, I think I was already somewhat familiar before the Hamilton thing and was thusly annoyed already.
It's very, I don't know. He's talented. Don't get me wrong. The dude's talented, but
sure,
it gets a bit overbearing after a while.
Yeah, it's a shtick, if you will.
Yeah,
it's a thing.
I love it. I love that we cul-de-saced into a Matrix death, but it was worth it.
Absolutely, best part of the whole thing.
I think we're definitely firmly in the bits and bobs territory.
We're already bits and bobsing it. So
the multiple castle final forms, that's a worthy bidder, Bob. Like the remodeling, you know, he comes in, they get busted, Howl remodels, makes a cool one, and then like they have to close some of the doors off, and then how does the first downsizing of the castle happen? I can't remember. It goes to like half size.
That's right after Sophie takes Calcifer out of the castle, right?
Yeah,
and then
that's right.
Then she takes him back in, and the castle is like just literally the room
fallen off. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
it downsizes to like just the room that Calcifer is in with that fireplace or whatever.
Yeah,
and then then the shit hits the fan, and she throws water on him, and the whole thing falls apart.
Because the Witch of the Waste grabs it. Yeah, it grabs him, and yeah. And then it's just like that platform. Everyone's just hanging out on the platform.
Yeah, it totally breaks in half. Like up in the, I was getting like some Temple of Doom, raft ride.
Oh hell yeah!
Out of the airplane kind of vibes there from that whole like toppling, crazy,
slide down,
top downhill adventure there.
Yeah, and I love that Turnip Head. His stick is getting broken as they go down, and then she gives him a smooch, and he turns into a prince.
He does. He indeed does.
I like how it's
like, hey, everybody, I'm Turnip Head.
I'm Turnip Head. I'm actually a prince. And then the Witch of the Waste is like, oh, I know that spell. It's when your true love kisses you. And then she like goes over to Howl, and he's like, looks like she's not your true love anymore, lover boy.
Yeah.
And he's all like, oh, fuck, man. What the fuck? Totally got cock blocked by Howl. I love it.
Totally.
Yeah, that's good shit. I don't know what else, man. Like, there's the double cross. Mom double crosses Sophie at one point. That was interesting.
Yeah,
I like that. Like the remodel of the castle puts them in a house very similar to, maybe it is the same house, but very similar to the hat shop, and all of the firebombing of the city is happening kind of in the climax.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like that same courtyard sort of area almost.
Yeah,
if I remember properly.
Yeah.
I like the door that opens into the field of flowers with the little cottage with the water wheel.
Yeah,
That's
that was
not the right
cool,
word
man.
for it, but
that was super cool. The whole idea that very time warpy, but the idea that present tense Sophie goes back in time and calls out to the two of them, which then causes them to seek her out.
Yeah, that was interesting. Little, that's totally where they got the plot for. Come on, Tars. Come on, Tars.
Come on, Tars.
That's what I like about these time travel movies.
Look at the clock, Murph. Look at the watch.
They get older. I stay the same age.
Oh, fuck, dude. We gotta do that. We should do that sometime, man.
What's that?
The fucking 70s movie. Dazed and Confused.
Dazed and Confused. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Totally.
That's a good movie.
Like, we already did Interstellar.
Yeah. No, we should do the prequel to Interstellar, Dazed and Confused.
Yeah, I'd love to do Dazed and Confused. I love that movie.
It's a great movie. I had one a second
what else. Ago. I like the whole bit where Howl goes in playing the king, and then the actual king comes in, or the general, or whatever the hell it was.
That's the best copy of me yet. Let's go bomb some shit.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Yeah, that was cool.
I like those crazy, weird little flapping, flying contraptions that were
those are so cool.
Part ornithopter, part like the glider from Nausica.
Yeah, mixed with like a croquet fucking garden party, sitting on these weird chairs.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I just remember like our old buddy Paulie, the painter, talking about how he used to like live in a ski town, and they'd hang out outside in the snow, like smoking butts with those white plastic chairs. Like everyone has seen those like shitty white plastic chairs that hang out outside everyone's shitty like house. And because it was so cold, the chairs were like super brittle. So somebody would be sitting in a chair, and you just like kick the back legs, and they'd shatter. And people would like fall into the snow. I just kind of pictured those like shitty white plastic chairs for some reason.
Shout out to Paul Klein. Cheers wherever you are, buddy.
Shout out to Paulie. We love you. I've wanted to contact you for about 20 years and have never been able to find you on the internet. You son of a bitch.
No, he's hiding out somewhere.
I love that kid.
He was a funny dude, man.
I don't know. The battle scene where the battleship comes into the harbor, I talked about a minute ago, but that's a great scene.
Those battleships were like ridiculous.
Super bubbly contraptions.
Yeah. He-Man vehicle battleships.
Yeah, totally. I don't know. I feel like the movie to me was all about the relationships and kind of the family feeling. Like it felt like a ragtag family, and it just
absolutely
lived in world ragtag family. Lots of love and all the crazy shit that like hits you as a family doesn't fuck with the fact that you're a tight unit. Like there's not a lot really to say from a plot point of view, other than it's like the family kind of blossoming, you know? So it's a little bit hard to cover. Yeah,
it's sort of a group of people who can't seem to get their shit together on their own, but, you know, they're able to, like, figure it out together.
Yeah, it's very Star Wars-y in a way.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I imagine, you know, just means it's very tropey.
Or even Star Trek-y, really.
Yeah, that too. Speaking of which, I listened to your Chips episode because I just wanted to make sure that I had the full continuity, and I thoroughly enjoyed the love of Worf's 70s Chips mustache. That was enjoyable. I like that he has entered the pantheon of mustachioed men in our Steak and Mustaches.
Yeah, I did not expect Michael Dorn to become part of the Mustache Hall of Fame on the show, but
like, as soon as it was known that Michael Dorn had a mustache, I haven't even seen his mustache, and I know that it has entered the Hall of Fame.
It is total HOF material.
No doubt about it.
No doubt about it.
I love it. And kudos to Mustache Forehead Guy in this particular season, or this particular show.
I mean, it's at least a like
honorable mention.
An honorable, yeah, and what's the word I'm looking for? An oddity. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Anyways, there should be like an eyebrow annex or something in the Mustache Hall of Fame. You know,
totally.
You know, the crazy old doctor from
Cannonball Run.
Cannonball Run could be in there, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, exactly.
I'm down with that. I'm down with there being like a special category. What do we got? Nuggets test ratings. Nuggets? I don't have any nuggets. I think I dropped the Batman voice nugget. That's probably about it.
Yeah, I believe I dropped a few in the midst of the show.
From a how it did point of view, it 10x'd its budget, that's pretty impressive. It's one of the, it was and probably still is one of the most successful Japanese movies ever, which is cool.
Really?
Yeah, which I love. I love that idea. I love the idea that he's like one of the more successful people in cinema over there, which makes sense, but like it's still cool.
Yeah, I would guess he's probably got a couple other spots in the top 5 even.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, you'd have to imagine.
Yeah.
Spirited Away and Mononoke, probably.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned this in the other episode, but The Wind Rises, one of his last films, is about like the airplane, and it kind of isn't fantastical, and it's really quite good if you haven't checked that out.
Huh.
It's worth checking out. It's like a bit more of a not mature. It's not a mature theme, but it's like a maturing of his style. It's kind of semi-autobiographical, I think, as well, if I remember correctly. It's worth checking out.
Interesting. There was something on HBO that he did recently.
The Caterpillar one?
I don't know. No, it was like
because he like retired after that Wind Rises, but then kind of came back and did some other stuff.
Yeah, Earwig and the Witch.
No, I don't know that one.
Which was fairly recent. Which was on HBO.
Any good?
I couldn't quite get into it.
No.
Not that to say it's bad. I'm not really sure. I started watching it and I wasn't in the mood, so I stopped and then I never went back to it. But it is recent. That was pointless. Never mind.
That's all right. There's a great Ponyo is really good too. You've probably seen that. And then there's a great documentary, Kingdom of Dreams and Madness, which is worth checking out too.
I have not seen that.
Have you seen
that?
Ponyo?
Is also, I have not seen Ponyo. Oh wait, no, I think I've seen that.
The fish one.
Yeah, I'm almost positive I've seen it. You mentioned
It's
it.
a little bit more whimsical, but it's still quite good. I don't know how you
I
get
don't-
more whimsical than Spirited Away.
Yeah, right.
But it is. It's more like it's more childlike. Whereas, like, I feel
how do you out whimsical Spirited Away? Hayao Miyazaki says, "Hold my beer."
Spirited Away is like a little bit darker. You know,
It is
just
dark.
a little bit.
It's quite dark. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's Nugget's death. Stats. I had a Star Wars death. You and I both shared a Matrix death.
Yes.
You ejected on the Matrix death, which I love.
Yeah.
And then we probably had a
well,
couple
it
others
was
sprinkled in
it was
there.
a purposeful ejection. It wasn't a.
Oh, don't start coming at me with this purposeful ejection Kev bullshit. An ejection's an ejection, man. You left the plane. No, I did it on purpose. It's like, yeah, so did he every time he went and watched the Salt Baby.
Fair enough. I wasn't doing it for like, oh, this is what I do during the podcast kind of thing. I was doing it because it was relevant and I needed to get it out there. I just couldn't remember it off the top of my head.
I know.
I should have made a note or done my homework beforehand. You're right.
I'm still going to give you shit about it, but I understand. Well, where's your head at with ratings?
Ratings? Man, it's hard for me to give this guy much less than an 8.
Sure.
All of this stuff is just top notch, just incredible movie making and animation and music and characters and crazy, batshit crazy, dreamlike, wacky worlds and scenarios. And the same could be said of most of his stuff, I would imagine. So yeah, I'm gonna go with a 9, man.
Nice.
It's a great movie.
Nice.
If you haven't seen it, or you haven't seen any Hayao Miyazaki films, Studio Ghibli stuff, you need to fucking get in there.
Missing out, dude.
Jump in with both feet.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the 8s.
Do it.
Do it. I'm looking at the 8s on the algorithm, and pretty much all of his shit is up there. I've got Nausica as the highest rated, I think, which makes a reasonable amount of sense.
That is
Mononoke.
That is my favorite, I think. It's that or Spirited Away.
Mononoke. Oh, no, Mononoke is just pips it. Yeah, all right. So, I don't know. I feel like I need to revisit all of these, but I've watched all of the Miyazaki's recently. I still love Nausica. I still feel like it's a pretty solid winner. And then Howl, I've got it at an 8.3. Nausicaa's an 8.7. Ghost Dog, the movie about a dog that gets turned into a ghost, is an 8.5.
Wait,
is that like the Ghost Dog?
Was the dog a ghost?
I kind of feel like an 8.3 is a little bit low. And I got Neighbor Totoro just above it.
Interesting.
This is tough. I think the
hard.
Neighbor Totoro thing for me is like, I don't know. It's such a like, the Neighbor Totoro is like from the perspective of like a 4-year-old. And I found that so fascinating where it's like the 4-year-old is processing her sick mother and the cat bus thing is like how the little girls process the situation and stuff. And I don't know, maybe it just hit me differently.
Sure. I get it, man. I mean, let's put it this way. I would give this movie a 10, if not for the fact that against other Studio Ghibli movies, I know there's ones that I like more, but it's like it's only by small increments, I don't tend to break things down by more than 0.5 or whatever, but
I'm gonna bump it up from an 8.3 to an 8.5. I'll put it above Totoro, and it just so happens to be above The Dark Knight, which I like the idea of Howl beating The Dark Knight, considering what you said earlier about Bale's Batman beating it at the box office.
Yes. I think I said Batman Begins, and that's totally a death.
You did, but I'm still gonna go with it.
That wasn't what I meant, but yeah.
Oh no, you're probably right, because The Dark Knight is the second one, and that's 2008. So I think you are right. It just happens to be next to the second one. Yeah, I think it's like, regardless of the algorithm navel gazing bullshit, like an 8 is a fantastic movie on the algo. Like I think all of it, Miyazaki shit, is fantastic. Like I just recently watched Kiki's Delivery Service for the first time, and it was like people rave about it being the best of the best of the best. And like, I've only seen it one or two times, I think, now with Ethan, and like, it was good. But even his worst shit is really fucking good. So,
yeah.
And his best stuff is like some of the best stuff ever. So this is one of his best. I definitely think this and Mononoke and Nausica and Spirited Away, like, they're like just legendary movies for him. So it's very much worth a watch, and very high up the algo.
I like it.
I like it a lot. So that's it.
Nice. So what's next, Slab? What are we doing next week?
You guys are all bonered up about The Samaritan. That's the new Sly movie?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm bonered up about it, but I think we should do it.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Your HGH levels are such that you're not bonered up, but you're pretty pumped about it. You got veins popping out about it. Of your neck.
Yeah, it's like maybe a semi-chub, you know.
Whoa. I know nothing about it other than he's like an 80-year-old in a movie.
There's a small, like an unfolding, you know.
Fair enough. So yeah, we'll do some Sly. We'll do some Sly next week.
Nice. Excellent.
So that's it, folks. Wraps up Howl's Moving Castle. Tune in next week for Samaritan, and we'll see you on another time.
Bye-bye.
And that's going to wrap up this week's episode, everybody. If you'd like to check out the show notes, you can find them at ebd.fm/episodes/178. If you are so inclined, we would love for you to share our podcast with your friends. It's really tough to spread the word. It's a lot of work to put into these podcasts, and we have a lot of fun doing it. I know because we chat with you very often on the interwebs that you guys enjoy the show as well. So if you could spread the love, it would mean the world to us.
Pretty please.
And you can hit us up on social media. We tend to focus on, Instagram, just because, I don't know, that's where most people are coming to us from. But we do have accounts everywhere else at EBD Podcast. Hit us up. A lot of times we chat on DMs and stuff, but feel free to chuck stuff in the comments and start a conversation.
Start a conversation, please.
Yeah, let's do it.
We love to hear from you, but y'all should talk amongst yourselves so you would love each other. So do it.
Yeah, we'll get there. I think, in the longer term here, we'd love for there to be a bit of a community. It's starting to get there. So, but really, at the end of the day, we love making the show, and we love that you guys and gals listen to the show. So, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. And
indeed, thank you.
Thanks for joining us for Howl's Moving Castle. And next week, we're talking Stallone's new movie. So, tune in. Thank you, and we'll see you later.
Everybody die. Coming to you live from the blonde and jet to Valverde. Grab me thick and spit, cause it's time to get nerdy. Burning like Columbin in a mega city, one double gun, shoot 'em up, yo, the boys get it done. Roll with Stallones, recognize our brand. We rep it regularly, we're stretching out the power band. A pair of bandans provide double impact. In this episode, everybody dies in trouble in fact. Jimmy Google on the keys and them nuggets getting sniped. Serving up a four-corner lasagna by the slice. Sling and slide on the diesel, Kurt Willis, or you cowards. We're doing donuts in the cul-de-sac, what your Fowler. Wolverine for brands, no doubt, let's take a vote. Pass a barefoot Bruno in a big bowl of Quaker Oat. Piece of the fam, they grasp but we grab. But we do things on forever, that's Wu-Tang and C-Lab. He with the switch in the probability drive. C-Lab's algorithm barely goes above the 5. And whether it be gripes or everybody cares, chances on Wolverine took an injection dash. You know the algorithm, it's a 3-man click. And it's probably the first time Jarhigo saw the flick. But he impersonates it, the gang's bugging into place. Save your turn fest and tropes and dropping nuggets in your face. EBD's down with the Rolling Stallones. Rolling through your town with a trail of a brute cologne. Chewing off in the center like my man Boba Fett. Nah, I took a Star Wars death. 1 for C-Lab, 2 for Jarhigo, 3 for Wolverine to round out the trio in this episode. Everybody dies. 1 for C-Lab, 2 for Jarhigo, 3 for Wolverine to round out the trio in this episode. Everybody dies.
Hi, Joe Fowler here. Joe Fowler, Joe Fowler, Joe Fowler, Joe Fowler here.
So everybody dies.
You do your homework? No? Fuck it. Grab your mitt.